Yeah, Dave, what did they do well against Cole Gibbler in those first six batters?
Well, what they did well is take advantage of a mistake we made by not covering the bag. That's what they did, and you give them credit for that. It gave them an extra out, and you know, I thought, I don't really know how to answer your question there, except he did a better job once he kind of got his feet underneath him. But we're down 5 runs. The home run when he left the bat, it was a fly ball, but it blew right out of the park. The higher it got, the more it would blow. It was blowing good, and that's what happens after you make a mistake, a mental mistake. And but yeah, they just took advantage of it. And when you got a guy like Townsend on the mound that hasn't given up anything really this year, it's hard to climb back in the game, and he didn't let us.
Cole ended up giving you 95 pitches today. You were able to keep some of your pitchers down there in the bullpen. How do you think that helped you play
Oh
out for
yeah,
Game Three?
that was the positive of the day is that once we were down that far early with them having Townsend on the mound, that Gibbler stayed out there for 95 pitches and only gave up maybe one or two more runs and pitched pretty well and gave us an opportunity to maybe climb back in the game, which we didn't. But we didn't burn some of our guys.
And then you were able to get them to get Walker Hooks in. Obviously, he's been real good for them. Just maybe elaborating on that second question. Just how do you think all of it maybe fit into tomorrow and pitching for both teams?
Say that again.
Just the fact that you got them to throw Walker Hooks there at the end,
Yeah.
and then like you said, you were able to holster some of your guys. Just
Yeah. I would think that they could bring him back tomorrow if they wanted through 20, 25 pitches, whatever it was. But it was good that we got him in the game. Other than that, us being able to just use, McGuire, who's been kind of like a long reliever type guy, and he made a bad pitch on a 2-0 count to a power hitter. Other than that, he wasn't bad. And then Kircher hasn't pitched much lately. Those guys gave us an opportunity to, like I said earlier, to save some guys that we've used more in leverage type situations. So hopefully we'll bounce back and play better tomorrow.
Coach, you secured your first walk in the sixth inning. How do you get more offensive production whenever you're facing a team who's going to not walk you and get you out?
Well, maybe you ought to get in the batter's box and face that guy. He's pretty darn good. So that's a good question. Have better hitters. Maybe if not face that good of a pitcher. He was really good. And we fought him pretty good. But what he did, he got us out. Every time it went 2-2, 3-2, he found a way to get us out. And that's why his ERA is barely 2.
You got 5 hits and 3 walks in your final 4 innings. How big is it that you carry that momentum into the next game?
Well, we got a little bit of momentum going there. We had the bases loaded, and we had a hitter get jammed first pitch with a nice cutter. Other than that, there were some good at bats in that inning. Yeah, our runs today came by, via home runs. I think we hit 3 or 4. They hit 4 or 5, and we couldn't string anything together. As far as momentum, the momentum's going to start, when we get in the batter's box tomorrow.
Coach, whenever you're playing a team like Ole Miss who gets a majority of their runs through the home run, like you said, how does that kind of change your approach for your pitchers and maybe the sequencing they use?
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between getting guys out that hit home runs or just hit. You got to locate pitches. You got to get ahead in the count. And, they were in a lot of hitters' counts today and they took advantage of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have trailed by 2 or more runs in the first inning in 4 of the past 6 games. Before that stretch, it only happened 4 times the rest of the season. I guess, is there anything about the starts to the games that needs to be improved, or is that just kind of something that's happening?
We've been behind a lot this year, to be honest with you. And we fought back and won some games. I think we were behind both games early against Alabama, won those. Missouri scored 3 runs before we got an out in the first inning last weekend, came back and won that one. So, I don't know. Pitch better early, It starts in the bullpen. It starts with preparation. When you walk to the mound, you get loose. You know, if you're nervous, you got to find a way to make an adjustment. I mean, I think it's an individual thing, to be honest with you.
You talked about those 3-2 counts that you got into against Townsend today. Did you like how the hitters battled against him?
Yeah, they battled well. I mean, you know, I thought he would throw his fastball a little bit more. He was throwing 95, 96 miles an hour, but he seemed to be leaving it up a little bit. But he threw a really good cutter, went with that, 88, 90 most of the time. And, yeah, he just competes well. He's right around, his missiles are usually pretty small. Not much, you know, big misses where you see it right away. But, yeah, we competed well against him. And, you know, again, you can't take away the first inning. But if you do, you know, it would have been a pretty good game. You know, at the end of the game, we give up a couple in the ninth. You know, that is what it is.
This is twice in the last couple of weekends where you've like a big start for your opponent. It's included the pitcher not covering first base. How frustrating is that? Because we haven't seen that very much from this team.
It's super frustrating. I mean, when the ball's hit to the right side, you start moving that way. And, you know, especially when you're left-handed, because when you follow through, you're falling towards, you know, towards third base. So, you know, you have to do it. And I don't know what happened there. I was watching the play, and I thought, you know, Rutenbar did a nice job of going and getting the ball, and he started to throw to second, but it wasn't hit that well. So he's just going to take the safe out and turn and look, and there's nobody there, you know, which would have been an out. Second and third, 2 down. Gibbler's got a knack for getting people out in those situations. So, yeah, I don't know what to think.
Do you know who you'll start tomorrow?
Not yet.
You've got Gabe Gackle available. You haven't thrown him this weekend. Has there been thought, as you've had these TBAs for Game 3, that if you don't use him for the first 2 games, that you might start him?
Yeah, no doubt. So he's definitely one of our number one options.